Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to look at the Atlanta for you. Miss Santa, that's actually Norm Scott. Now Macau on there, that's Concealment. Vian, Incoming Dispersion. Look at this build there. Concealment mod slot 3. Incoming Dispersion on that, a nice bonus. Camo, Incoming Dispersion bonus on the camo, so level up your camos if you're able to. And that slot 3 perk on the Norm Scott, which tells when we're being targeted. More incoming dispersion. So all told, we probably got about a plus 20% incoming dispersion build. And this build, underutilized, I would say, as a whole. I don't see a lot of players talking about their dispersion builds as much as some of the other builds. But look for opportunities. Once you get into the tier 6 ships and higher, where you got to access that concealment mod, you can slap high level camos, maybe put Vian on there once you get him leveled. And certainly if you have Norm Scott, I would lean all in on it. It's very nice for these American light cruisers because they do not take kindly to getting shot. Atlanta B, Sleeping Giant here. No destroyers. Look at this. Now, I know how this map usually plays out. You know how this map usually plays out. Both the western spawns go all the way to the west. All the way to the left side of A. That takes minutes, about 5 minutes usually. So we're moving forward, keeping an eye on the map with the idea that at least some of those ships are going to be doing there. There's 1, 2 battleships there. And, okay, there's the third one. If they're all going to go over there, check this out. We're going to go right into A. We're going to be making a scoring play right off the bat. A little bit dangerous, but I'm also keeping an eye on the eastern flank, and they're going to the east. So nobody on this team is playing the mid. And guess what? We're going to exploit that, and we're going to start putting points on the board ASAP. Okay, normally if you guys ever see me playing games on a stream where I'm kind of talking about the setup as the game's getting loaded, oh no, we got no destroyers. It's going to be a snooze fest. Okay, and that's usually how it plays out. You do have a carrier each side here who will get some spotting going, but in terms of actually playing the bases, these games tend to be a little bit slower, but both as a battleship and a cruiser, you got to be looking for opportunities to get on the cap and start getting those points, because that's still a huge part of this game. Harder to do. Like, let's say one of those battleships played to the middle instead of going all the way to the west. I'm not making this play, because as soon as I get spotted, I'm blasted, and it's not going to work. But you can see we're coming in here hot, trying to not beach ourselves on the island there. But, you know, we need to get in here as quick as possible, because time is of the essence here. What I want to do is get this A captured and then move into B, or at least be in position to get the heck out of Dodge. Because once these battleships come around here, if they get the guns on us, it's over. So I'm hoping, yeah, we got our own battleship going over there. He's kind of taking his time, and those three are actually going to beat him. But I'm hoping he just kind of gets right around the bed so he can shoot, drop anchors, slow them down, and maybe we can get these 2 cabs. Pop the radar there. We don't need it for destroyers, but I want everyone who's thinking about this side to be fully informed of the situation. So, you know, no scoring in terms of damage yet. Don't worry, guys. Strap yourself in. We will be pumping out the damage as this match goes on. But this is the big play we're making right now. Getting this cap really aggressively. Reading the map. Reading the situation. Understanding tendencies. A lot of the maps have tendencies that most matches are going to kind of play out the same way. Think Fault Line, Two Brothers. This one, certainly. There's a handful of maps where almost every game people play the same deployment, and usually it's a kind of a poor deployment, which is why it's exploitable. But, you know, even if I'm a destroyer here, look for opportunities to get this A cap and then get the heck out of it. It's a great scoring play on this map. And now we're going to go right into B. Okay, now we will probably have some shots on these battleships here as we're gaining a little bit of distance here, and they're coming around this bend. Spotting here, it could be some cruisers to the east. That's also, you got to keep in mind with the spotting, it's from the high point of the ship. It's usually from the center of the ship is the point horizontally, but then it's how high your ship ends up going. So you can spot ships over these canyons from time to time. And I also got to be keeping an eye on the eastern side of the map and the carrier as well. We're going to be right in the middle of the map, rather, and that's a very dangerous position for any ship to be in. Especially early in the game. But as long as we're keeping an eye on, number one, are we being targeted? Disregard anyone who tells you those perks that tell you if you're targeted are for noobs. That's BS. Information is power, just like Twist and Track. Don't listen to them. They're incorrect at all times. So that helps. But then also just keeping an eye on the situation. Looking an eye on the map, keeping an eye on the map. Who's got a line of sight? Okay, because basically, if people are able to see us, we should have better concealment than anything else. So we should be able to see pretty much every other ship. So we can keep an eye on there. Flint taking some nasty damage, and the New Mexico takes them out. That's a great help there. And we are actually able to secure the second base. And red still has not even come into the gap into A. And you can see, we're up one ship here, but we're up pretty big on the score. And we're just going to try and slow them down. I would like to, of course, get C as well. Are we going to be charging into maybe Italian into California? No, but we can probably try and get into a position to support this. Because now I'm reading the situation. We got 3v1 in the west, 3v0 now. They actually sunk that guy. So they created an overload. It's a very slow moving overload in terms of the deployment, but they did create that. Meanwhile, that means B has an overload over here. So we're going to be pressing this side as a team as quickly as possible. And this team as a whole does a pretty good job. I think there's a handful of pretty good scores this game, if I recall. But press the tempo. Okay, when we have the numerical advantage, push, push, push. You always want to be moving into that situation as quick as possible. Whenever you're on a team that kind of slow plays those advantages, that's usually when you're going to be losing those games where either you have a numerical advantage or a positional advantage that the red is able to turn around. Because in this game, if it's played well, let's say everybody plays at a perfectly average rate, then it's designed to be a numbers game. Who's got the numerical / firepower advantage? That's, if you're playing competently, you're supposed to win those fights like 9 out of 10 times. So press the advantage. Don't sit back. Don't relax. So now we're in this nice cruiser position. I love getting over here, especially if I spawn on the eastern side, but we can cover both sides of the map. Once again, it's dangerous. We got to be keeping an eye on the situation. We'll control our the ability for the reds rather to spot us by moving these islands in between us, but we do have great firing position, and this is when the power of the American light cruisers come on. We're still setting up a defensive position, really a defensive scheme, where we had A, now we have B, and then we captured C. So domination mode, once again, like we talk about a lot, you want to capture off flank and the middle, then you defend the middle. We captured off flank, we lost it. We weren't going to be able to hold A. We knew that from the get-go, but we do have B, and now we overloaded C. So because we have carriers in this game, I'm content to just sit here and then hold B with covering fire. All right, if we're in a situation where there's no carrier and there's no ships on our team that's really going to be able to spot for us, this becomes much more difficult. Okay, but really in this position, even though we're sighted, even though we're targeted, and that's a main gun targeting, so I don't think the carrier actually selects a target. I could be wrong. Correct me, carrier players, if you think I'm wrong, but I think that ingenious perk is telling me one of these battleships was targeting me there. But battleship firing angles much lower. Golden shower boys, like these American light cruisers, we spit them straight up and then it comes right down and splashes them in the eyes. So that's the advantage here. We can shoot them, they can't shoot us. Now if they get really close to us, and this is how one of the ways you counter the light cruisers, press into them if you can safely do so, because once you get close enough, then their arcs have to flatten out, and then eventually they'll not be able to shoot at you. All three of them are coming in here. Now they're coming in hot, and they need to get B as quickly as possible, and they really need to hope that they're going to be fighting us 3v1, 3v1, 3v1. If we kind of press all together as a team, of course I'm not going to press myself, but if the team presses and we're able to deal damage in a numerically superior way, once again we'll win that fight. Okay, so as of right now, and when these three ships, when we began to engage them, I think we were at about 40,000 damage. Keep that in mind as you're watching this sequence develop. This will just be a great example of how much damage these things can do, and this is why battleship players hate these light cruisers. You just have to kill them when you have the opportunities to do so. Otherwise, they'll ruin your day. Broadside, like the King George there, if we got good shots at superstructure, we can always switch over to AP, especially when we already have established fires. The value of HE goes down once you have the fires going, because now you're getting two sources of damage. The AP will always do more damage if it can penetrate, and when those battleships are broadside, it will be able to penetrate. Battleship here behind me, luckily he's not shoving me out. Now, even if he did and I died here, we're probably still going to win the game. But that's a dangerous play. And if the cruiser's sitting here, this is his lifeline. You know, I can't go out there, run and gun these guys and last more than 2 seconds. So don't ram your cruisers, please. Luckily, he didn't shove me out there, and we're able to continue firing. But look how flat the arcs are getting on the Fuso. He's almost to the distance now, and you can see we're actually hitting the island, or we're beginning to. He's closing in close enough where he's more or less protected. So now I'm going to take a little bit more risk. Once again, game situation, not going to really matter if I live or die here. But you can see we've already put up about 100,000 damage in this sequence. And we're just trying to spread these fires out, spread the damage out, and keep resetting these guys. By the way, we get great scoring off these green ribbons for resetting bases. So if you want to boost your XP like we're attempting to do in this situation, that's a great way to do it. Close range. Always got to remember the Atlanta does have torps. It's about 4.5 kilometers, I think. So you do have to get pretty close to this thing. And unless they're completely goofy, they're not going to typically rush you. You know, like Japanese destroyer mains would probably try and suicide torp someone in Atlanta. But most players, they're just going to be strictly defensive. But here we were actually trying to get the double strike. You can see that King George was low. New Mexico, luckily for him, he briefly dodged. Unluckily for us, we were not able to get the double, which would have been the feather in the cap in a pretty well played game. But this is kind of what we're doing with these light cruisers. Defend areas. Okay, we captured B, we captured C. You want to push into B, you're going to have to go through this. Okay, and we get the Witherer, and their day is ruined. They've been splashed in the eye. And that's the Atlanta for you. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We've got lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.